Hey, Paul, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Ron. How about you, man?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to have you here today to talk about how to give profitable free speeches. I know that that's an oxymoron to most people
Yeah,
because, we think either you get paid to speak up front or you don't get paid at all. But that doesn't make a lot of sense to you and I. So I wanted to have you on today to talk about how to give profitable free speeches. So tell me a little bit about what you've been working on over the past years as a speaker and kind of give a little context to everyone.
sure, absolutely. First of all, Ron, thank you for having me on, and you're doing amazing things. And it's a privilege and honor to be here to talk to you, to talk to your audience. And yeah, I've been blessed to travel around the world, speak on some of the biggest stages in the world. Been blessed to speak on stage with individuals like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, A-list celebrities, Fortune 500 CEOs. And yeah, there's always this challenge. Sometimes you're paid before you come to speak. Sometimes they pay you during. You can make money selling something at an event, and sometimes you get paid after, through clients and everything like that. But I try to put together a system that any opportunity that I had to speak, whether it's on a podcast, whether it's on stage, whatever it might be, that there's an opportunity to generate revenue from it.
No, that makes sense. So tell me some of the different options that people may have. I know you talked about before. So
Right.
what are some of the ways that you can get paid before the event?
Yeah. So typically, most people, when they say, I want to be a paid speaker, that's the model, that's the method that they think, they think that's the only way to get paid. Is someone is going to give you a retainer for your services, they're going to write you a check, and you are going to get paid to speak on stage. A lot of time that relationship is established with a manager or being on a platform where your speaker profile can be displayed to people and they can hire you to come speak. It might be a corporate speaking engagement. It might be an event where you're just a guest speaker, but you're going to get paid. You negotiate an amount and you're going to get paid to come speak at the event. And if we're truthful, getting started, typically it's not very much. I know a lot of times people, they have this lofty dream. Oh, I want to get paid $100,000 to come speak at an event. Well, you're probably not going to get that anytime soon. But it's maybe a little amount. You're compensated for your time, and then you slowly grow into higher and higher. But that's getting paid before the event.
Does sometimes, like, I've heard people doing exchanges, sort of, hey, you can't pay my fee, but can you buy books? Or you can't,
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like that. How does that work? Like, those
yeah.
are some alternative ways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's say for example, you release a book and you set up, you negotiate, hey, buy X amount of my books, I'll come speak at your event, and they do that. A lot of times individuals do that because they want to increase the rankings of their book. They want to become a bestseller, and so they'll say, hey, buy 100, 500, 1,000 of my books on this location, and that is kind of a good exchange of value for them.
No, that totally makes sense. So let's talk about during the event. How does
Very
how does someone get paid during the event? So they can sell books beforehand. They can get paid a per diem to show up front. How do they get paid during the event?
During the event, well, there's a few different ways. Number one, you can have merchandise. I think that this is probably one of the most challenging ways to make a significant amount of money is, you have your little keychains, you have your little books and material and everything like that. If you have 1,000 people, you sell you know, 500 books, $15 a piece. When it's all said and done, maybe you make $5,000, and which is great. I don't want to discount that, but that's one way. You have merchandise, you have products that you are going to sell during the event. Secondly, and this is where I've seen huge opportunity and great profitability, is that you have a coaching program, you have a product or service at the event you can pitch. A lot of times people are concerned about selling. obviously you want to have an arrangement, a relationship with the host of the event, that they give you permission to do that. You don't just want to go up there and just sell your product or service. But oftentimes, host of the events, in exchange, instead of giving you a per diem, they will allow you to promote your product or service. So if you have a high ticket coaching program, or maybe you have a service that is marketable to your audience, at the end of your presentation, you can, what I like to do is kind of plant seeds about the offer, about the product, about the service. And then at the end of it, you have a presentation where you are pitching your offer. And if it's done right, you can make a significant amount of money doing that based on your product, your service, your ticket value there.
Okay. So they can sell books, merchandise, things of that sort. They, if allowed, they can pitch their consulting services. How do they make money at the event if they're not allowed to do that? Because I think that that's an interesting way to go about it, where I can be on stage and I can talk about my services, I mean, talk about my presentation, but how do I protect that so that the host doesn't kick me off?
Okay, so if you don't have permission to sell something, you want to be very delicate about that. There's a few different ways that you can do it. Number one, you can have simply a referral. Like, hey, at the end, I want to, we call it a tripwire or an opt-in. What we have done that is very profitable is we have built a system that we give something away for free. Maybe it's a PDF. Maybe it's a PowerPoint presentation. I've seen this done many times, that a speaker will say, hey, if you want copies of my presentation, go to such and such URL. And they put the URL up on the screen, and you opt in for that. And with that being said, you're generating names, emails, phone numbers that people are coming into your world. They can enter into your email list. If they're interested, they can set up a call and you can do a presentation to them on a one-on-one type of situation. So being creative with that, being able to, we also do this with social media being popular. We'll say, hey, if you want more information, go to my Instagram and send me a message and I'll give you a free PDF. I'll give you a copy of this presentation. So number one, you're building your social media presence. Then number two, you are getting that contact information from them.
Yeah, no, I think that that's really cool because I've seen even some people, they put up a QR code to get
Right.
feedback about their event. And if you give them feedback, they'll give you the slide presentation or they'll give you some bonus tip. So maybe they had 3 tips and then they say, hey, I'll give you a bonus training on this entire thing if you give me feedback on my talk today. I think the biggest thing is kill the talk. Like, make the talk amazing where people want to follow you and want to
it's like, let the talk do the work for you. People will they'll reach out to you, they'll want to connect with you, like, hey, I want more of this.
Exactly. And I think that that's having the goods is probably step one.
Exactly. It's like, well, in speaking, it's like a lot of times people like, oh, I want to make a lot of money speaking. I want to get speaking engagements. I want to get on this stage and that stage. Well, the fundamental thing, number one, be a good speaker. The scripture says your gift and your calling will make room for itself. I think if you're good at what you do, those stages will come to you and you won't have to go to them.
I have a quick question. How long have you been a speaker? Just for context.
So I started speaking when I was about 17 years old. I will be 50 this year. And when I say I started speaking in church. I started speaking in nursing homes. I started speaking in prisons. Talk about a captivated audience. I mean, that's a place you can go to. So I've spoken since about 17 years old. I've been speaking. 50 years old now, so what is that? 33 years.
Do you remember when you got your first speaking check over $1,000?
Well, I tell you what, there was a long time where I can tell you I got paid $12 and a bucket of chicken. I mean, that was my big. A church had me come speak for them, and they said, we can't give you much, but we'll give you the offering and we'll take you out to eat. I'm like, okay, that's good. I wanted an opportunity. And so they gave me $12. I guess that's what the offering was. And they took me out to eat at a chicken restaurant. I got a bucket of chicken. So that was big. So my first time being paid over $1,000. It was also probably at a church. So I used to travel around from churches to schools to colleges and speak motivational sessions, and it was probably at a church. And I remember that we had spoke at what we said at this time. It was a significant size church. It was a few hundred people. It was a great opportunity for me. And when it was all said and done, they gave us a couple $100 to speak. And the next speaking engagement was at a smaller church, probably about 40 or 50 people. And at the conclusion of that session, I think they gave us $1,500. We're like, whoa, we've made it.
How many years did it take to get there?
I would say that was probably about 3 years. About 3 years. I traveled and I spoke a lot for free, for the experience, for the opportunity, with nothing expected in return. Occasionally I might get something, but it was probably 3 years into speaking where I got over $1,000.
No, that's incredible. And that's starting at 17, or is this when you started as a professional speaker, 3 years into that?
I was probably about 21 years old when that happened. So starting at 17 years old, I was speaking at our local church. I was speaking in nursing homes. I was speaking I remember, so my dad was a pastor. And when I started expressing the desire to speak, to preach at church, he said, Paul, you're a young guy. Not a whole lot of churches are going to have you come preach for them. You're just getting started. It's like, so don't wait for a pulpit, make a pulpit. And that's exactly what I did. Is I went to nursing homes. Can I speak here to the people? I went to prisons. Can I speak here? I went to schools. Can I speak here? And that gave me experience. The interesting thing about that is, so I did nursing homes and prisons in locations like that for about 3 years. I went to college, spoke at the college, small college, couple hundred, maybe about 300 students. At the conclusion of that session, the dean of students came up to me and said, would you be interested in speaking at the host church? And I said, yeah, sure. The host church was 3,000 people. So I look back at it, and at one month, I was speaking in nursing homes. The next month, I was speaking before 3,000 people. So
no,
it's putting in the work. It's putting in the work. So
no, I think that's incredible. I think that's the part that gets left out, right? Because we get sold, get on the stage and get these great pictures and make this amount of money. But when? It's after you've done the work and you've gotten better. And I always talk about, I have a great saying that I came up with called elephant hunters eat rabbits. And
I like it. I get it. Elephant hunters eat rabbits. Oh, that's good. That's good. Everybody's trying to get the elephant, but it's going to take you a long time to get the elephant. So you better get used to eating rabbit before you get to the elephant.
100%. And here's the thing. Like I grew up in East St. Louis, right? And every once in a while, we would have little rabbits that hop around in our yard and things of that sort. And you see these little rabbits, and they're really fast, right? If you can learn to hunt rabbit, that little small fast thing, imagine when once a year when the Barnum and Bailey circus comes with the big elephants walking down the street. Those are easy targets at that point because you've sharpened your skills on these little hopping rabbits. But those rabbits fed you.
Right.
Until the elephant came. And I think, a lot of people starve in this business because I only eat elephant meat. They're, I guess they went vegan and all of that stuff nowadays. But when it comes to opportunities, they only want to eat the whale.
Right.
They don't want to eat the little catfish nuggets.
I think there needs to be a realistic expectation that, hey, you got to put in the reps. You got to put in the reps. I remember just probably about 4 or 5 months ago, I was up in Tampa, Florida, and I was actually visiting a client. Show up to the hotel, and I realized they're having a big conference. Everybody walking around with their lanyards and stuff. And people came up to me, Paul, are you here for the conference? I was like, no, I didn't even know there was a conference going on here. I'm just here to visit a client. Later that evening, I'm standing out in the lobby waiting to meet my client, and a couple guys come walking through the lobby, and they see me like, Paul Getter, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm coming to visit a client. They're like, you're not here for the conference? I said, no. They said, would you be interested in speaking tomorrow in the morning? I said, well, maybe, I guess so. They said, we had a speaker cancel. We've been reaching out to a lot of different agencies and nobody's available at such short notice. Would you be interested? I said, sure. So I go down to the lobby in the morning and meet them there. We go to where they're hosting the event, and it's an event of about 3,000 people. And I look at them. Speakers on the roster are people like Tucker Carlson, some A-list celebrities. I said, who didn't show up? Who am I filling in for? They said, Deion Sanders. I said, well, I promise you, I can't tackle. I can't pass. I can't do anything like that. But here's little old me filling in last minute for Deion Sanders. And it was one of the greatest opportunities that I had to speak on stage spontaneously. And it goes back to your point. Eating on little rabbits and the big elephant shows up and you're ready.
Well, 100%. You know what? I think you brought up something that isn't talked about a lot. Most people are pitching the opportunity that's apparent, but a lot of times the other option is, hey, do you have a list of emergency speakers, right? So it's not just, hey, can you put me as a headliner? But I'm willing to be on that emergency list because things happen. Like a couple of months ago, the airlines went down and there were no flights out of Florida or anywhere in the U.S. because of that cloud strike thing.
Right.
Imagine if you were a local speaker in that area and you were on the backup list, right? So there's so many things like that I think that people miss where, hey, I may not get a spot on the main thing, but if you need a backup, can you keep me in mind? Just in case something goes wrong, because life happens. And I would love to be that person that can show up. I was able to do that with a TED Talk in Guyana. And this was the world shut down with the pandemic kind of messed this whole thing up. But they had a TED Talk, and they were like, it's past the deadline. And I just asked, can I be the backup? If anybody can't make their flight, well, they decide that they can't make it, because of something. I'm in Colombia. I'll fly over. I pay my own thing. And they were like, sure, if you want to be a backup, we would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it cost them nothing for me to be a backup.
Absolutely.
Right? But it could be that opportunity that just pops up that, I think it's just another way to get on the list and to build a relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we mentioned the first two ways, right?
Sure.
How to get paid beforehand, right? And how to get paid during the event. So let's talk about how do people get paid after the event.
So after the event, number one, as we talked about generating leads, there's a lot of different ways that you can generate leads. So I actually teach a method. I call it the BFT method, BFT. B standing for book. I think that every speaker, every authority, coach, consultant should invest in writing their own book. A book does a lot of different things for you. Number one, it builds that social credibility. It's like, oh, he's got a book. He's an author. He's written something. It gives you an opportunity to tell your story, to give to people to tell your story. And it really establishes you as kind of an authority in your industry. I say it's kind of like having a platinum business card. You know what I mean? I have a coaching student of mine who's a doctor. He used to send out letters to different places asking if he could come kind of pitch himself as a speaker for it. And he said, it was a very low conversion rate. Maybe 10% of the letters that he sent out would get accepted and he would get invited to speak. But he wrote a book and then would include that book inside the envelope, and his acceptance rate went up to like 50, 60% because, again, there's something. Here's the reality. Sometimes people are going to get your book. They may or may not read it. They might skim through it. But something about them holding that book in their hand, like, oh, wow, your picture's on it. It somehow expresses authority, that you're serious about it, that you're not just some fly by night individual in this industry, that you put in time, work, and effort to write a book. So B, write a book, and then F, a funnel. Develop a funnel. I see a lot of speakers, coaches, consultants, they have websites, which websites are fine. Websites, people go to your website, they see who you are, they see information, testimonials, and it's just like a spread of information. Most of the times when people go to websites, they just kind of like dance around, and there's no real firm call to action. What we like to do is we like to take that book and build a funnel. A funnel is designed for a specific action, a call to action, just like the name implies. A funnel, people come in and there's one specific action that you want them to take. Having a book, you can make a funnel that pushes people to get a free copy of your book. You can say, so you can be there on stage and you can say, hey, I've written this book, and if you want to get a copy of my book, just go and drop the link. And number one, now this is what I like to do. I like to go to the event and I take like 10 copies of my book and I will pass them out and everything. So people start looking, oh, he's got a book. Oh, he's going to sell a book. And they're looking for the table of me selling books and everything. And people just start talking. But then at the end of my session, I'll say, hey, I only brought 10 books. I ran out. I am so sorry. Completely, I did that intentionally. It was not an accident. I only brought 10 books. I knew I was going to run out. But then I say, but if you would like to get a free copy of my book, and now this is something that it's kind of up to the individual's discretion, you can give a physical copy, or you can just give a digital copy of that book. But so I'll put the URL up there, QR code, something. You get a free copy of my book here. Number one, it kind of sets a precedent. Oh, wow, this is so nice of him giving this to us, like you've given to them. But then you get their name, their email, their phone number, and then what we like to do, we like to bounce it to a thank you page that is like, hey, I hope you enjoy this copy of your book. It's in the mail. It's on the way. If you're interested in learning how to do XYZ a little bit more, we would love to set up a call with you and talk to you more about that. And if you're interested, click on the calendar below. Then people set up a call, and that gives you an opportunity, if you have an offer, that you can pitch to them on a one-on-one call, or maybe you have a sales team, but that gives you an opportunity to generate revenue post-event. So BFT, T is for traffic, events, speaking at an event, speaking on a podcast, running traffic on social media. Those are all forms of traffic that can be used in this method that can generate a significant amount of revenue, whether in person, online, whatever it might be.
So I think what you mentioned is really cool, because giving away something for free isn't selling.
Right.
So a lot of times the event organizer will say, if you said, hey, I won't sell from the stage, but can I give them a free gift?
Yeah.
Can I give away a copy of my book, or give them the chapter of my book that's coming up, or give them a free training? I don't have anything to sell. We're not asking them to buy anything. I just want to be able to give the gift to those who want it, right? And I think that they'll let you to do that more than sell from the stage sometimes. But if you have that funnel built, right, you capture the name, you capture the email address, you capture everything in that process. So you end up with those leads on the backside.
Yeah, and there's some great sites that you can use, whether it's ClickFunnels, Go High Level, to build platforms like this, good optimized funnels. And then you can integrate with print on demand sites like Lulu. It's a printing company that when someone orders your book, they opt in for your book. It's automated. The book is printed and it's mailed out from a third party. You don't even have to do anything. So with today's technology, it's become easier and easier to be an author, to print a book at low cost. You can have a book printed, say it's 120, 150 pages for less than $10. You can put it on Amazon. There's a lot of different opportunities and also benefits, not even just using it as a lead generator, but using it as something that would elevate your brand. It would elevate your credibility and your authority. I think a book is a great way to do it.
Oh, 100%. For those who are here, if you're watching this and you have a Speaker Up profile, in your Speaker Up profile, you actually can upload a file. And when you give a speech, they can come and they just put in their information and you can have it digitally sent to them, whether it's a PDF or something of that sort. So that's a feature that a lot of people don't use in their Speaker Up accounts already. So now I have the lead, but I didn't get paid. Right. I got an email. Well, we did get paid. We got paid with leads, right? Because money isn't the only form of currency. Someone can pay me with masking tape. They can pay me with sandwiches. They can pay me with crab legs.
A bucket of chicken, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Give me a bucket of chicken at $12, right?
Yes.
So money isn't the only form of currency, and I think that's an important thing. Can you talk about how, like, sometimes you get followers, sometimes you get email addresses? Can you go into that a bit?
Yeah. So when it comes to leads, I already have a predefined value of how much one person booking a call on my calendar is worth. And it's easy for me to define that because I know if I run Facebook ads, if I run Instagram ads, that on the average, it can cost me between $100 and $150 to get someone to book a call with me. So if I go to an event and there's 1,000 people there and I get 200 leads, well, for me, that is a significant amount of money that I generated. So those leads, you have to define a value. And how that value would be defined is, okay, let's just say that my product, my service, my coaching program sells for $10,000. And so I know that, okay, 10% of the people that get on the call will actually purchase that $10,000 program. So you start to do the math. And at this point, you just know the more people that get on my calendar, the more packages that I can sell. So optimizing it, refining it, and knowing your numbers, you get excited about leads. If you have a good system, you're like, okay, I got 100 leads at this event. I know that I'm going to get 10 sales. And 10 sales, and I've seen this. I spoke at an event. There was probably about 200 people there. And it was a great opportunity. When I was done, I gave away a copy of my book, put it up on the screen. People opted in, and I'll get notifications. When people start opting in, I'll get notifications on my phone. So when it was all done, I had about 50 leads from the event. When it was all done, that event that I spoke at for free generated me over $100,000. And because of coaching programs that were sold that were generated from those leads. So I'm all for, if you have a system like that in place where you have a lead generator, an opt-in, a lead magnet, and then you have a process that is refined that you can consistently make sales. You've got a presentation, you've got a sales team, and you know your numbers. I'm very comfortable at speaking at events with, if it's the right crowd, the right group of people, no charge, because I know if I can get leads, we can convert those into sales.
What if the person doesn't have a sales team and they don't have anyone else to do any of those things? All that they have is their speaking and their consulting. How does that turn into leads? Can speaking at an event for free turn into consulting gigs or other speaking gigs?
Sure, absolutely. So this is what I suggest. Number one, the book that you give away for free, that it is constructed around your offer, your product, your service, what you do. So you want it to be congruent. So whatever your book is, it expresses your expertise and it somehow has a connection to your offer. You want those to be congruent with each other. So, it's like you want, if you're a consultant for women's empowerment, you want a book that expresses, your authority and your expertise in women empowerment. So oftentimes coaches and consultants, it is a one-man show, or a one-woman show that they are doing this. If you have an offer, a coaching program, most of the times I see that individual that has the program is probably the best salesman at it. They know what it does. They know their offer. They know their product. They know their service. So it simply is a conversation. Oftentimes people are hesitant, and I don't know why, but they think that selling is a bad word. Selling is helping. Selling is helping. Selling is providing value. Selling is offering solutions to people. Most of the stuff that we have, that we enjoy, that bring us happiness, it's because someone sold it to us. Like the house that I'm in, I love it. I'm thankful. I tell the real estate agent, thank you for selling me this house. It has brought me happiness. The car I drive, someone sold it to me and I like it and I thank them. Sometimes people, when it comes to selling, they think it's dirty because they've been sold on a wrong way, but selling is helping. I remember when the pandemic happened, I had coaching students and clients come to me and they said, Paul, because it was a weird time, it was a weird time. And they were like, Paul, should we stop selling? And I said, are you helping people? Are you really helping people? If you are really helping people, please continue to sell. If you're not helping people, you should have stopped a long time ago. You should have stopped a long time ago. So selling is helping. I like the scripture. There's a scripture in the Bible. It says this, he that hath wheat and withholds it shall be cursed. But he that hath wheat and sells it shall be blessed. Now, here's the interesting thing. It could have said, he that hath wheat and just gives it all away for free, he's going to be blessed, because believers, we we just want to give it away. It's charity and everything like that. Well, there's a blessing in selling. It didn't say he that gives it away shall be blessed. It says he that sells it shall be blessed. Selling gives you the ability to help more people. Just imagine that farmer. If he gave away all the wheat, yeah, it'd be great. He would help a lot of people and they would be so thankful. But by virtue of him selling it, he's able to employ more people. So he's helping more families. He's able to buy more equipment, to scale his farm, and to provide sustenance for more people. So selling is helping. When it's done right and it's done with integrity, good heart, and good intention, selling is helping, and there's a blessing that comes with helping others.
No, I think that's super duper duper incredible. And I think it has a lot to do with the words that we use, right? Because if we said, hey, do you like to help people? Everybody says, oh, I love to help people. It makes me feel good, right?
Yeah.
And then if you said, well, if you could do the same thing, but people paid you to do it, you could help the same way, but you got paid really well to help people. Would you do it? Heck yeah, I would do it, right?
Right.
Well, how would you tell people about this service where you help people? Well, I would put up billboards. I would do this. I would build all these things.
Right.
And they're like, but if you say selling, they're like, right?
Yeah.
But if you say, well, how would you tell more people about this way that you help them? Well, I help them do this, and I help them do this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't understand. You just gave me a pitch, right, in 15 minutes. And it's kind of like if you were to say, hey, for Thanksgiving, are you going to have ham? And they were like, yeah, I love ham. But if I said, hey, would you like to eat hog butt? I don't want a hog butt. I'm not going to eat a hog's butt.
Right.
That's what ham is.
Wait, you have to sell it properly. Yeah,
I mean that's some great selling, right? Or chitlins. Nobody wants to eat. People say, "Oh man, I had this. What do we call it? Pork tartare right?
Uh,
And they're like, oh man, this is great. No, that's chitlins. So they didn't even erase them, but it's pig intestines, right?
I thought
So
you were going to say that's a hot dog.
yeah, that
Pig
could be that
tartare.
too. Exactly. That's like pig fingers, toes,
Yeah, yeah,
head, shoulders,
everything.
knees and toes, right?
Yes, yes.
Eyes, ears, mouth, and nose.
Yes.
So, but I think that that's it. A hot dog is a great example of the things that we say, or a sausage, or things that we, because it's framed properly,
Yes.
we partake in it. And I think as speakers and as humans, we fear rejection sometimes because we're used to people clapping at us on the stage.
Yeah.
And the only time that we really directly experience rejection is when someone doesn't buy from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I've never been upset if someone didn't want my help.
Right. Right.
Do you see what I mean? If I ask my daughter, hey, can I help you get on the couch? She says, no, I can do it myself. I don't say, oh, I can't believe she didn't want my help. My daughter doesn't love me. I'm like,
Exactly.
no,
Exactly.
she's fine. But so I think helping, if we think of selling as helping but getting paid to help,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that changes the context of it.
Yeah.
So no, that's really good, Paul. I like
The,
that.
the reality is you're selling every day. If you are dating someone, guess what you're doing? You're selling. You're pitching who you are. If you want to attract clients, if you want to work with each other, there is selling involved, communication. You are trying to convince, you're trying to persuade. And again, the only reason people think that selling is wrong is because they've experienced a salesperson that did it wrong, and they did it without ethics and integrity. But selling is helping. Selling is providing value. Selling is solving problems. Selling is lifting people up.
Oh, 100%. And I think I like to use my daughter again because I love this thought process. You know, sometimes I help her with something and she says, no, I can do it myself, right? And then I say, well, no, let me help you. And she doesn't realize that she's probably doing it wrong. And she says, no, I can do it myself, right? And sometimes that's the pushy salesman, right? And we've experienced that pushy salesman that either desperately needed the validation of the sale through money or whatever, or they just didn't know when to quit. So if you want to be a great salesman, just don't do any of the things that you hated that salespeople did to you.
Exactly. Exactly. It's one of those things. You're just helping people make a decision, and the decision is not always yes. The decision is not always yes. If you are always trying to get a yes, you are doing yourself a disservice. You should recognize I'm not for everybody. I'm not. You are devaluing yourself, trying to make yourself available and for everybody. You have to recognize it. And I'll be honest. There was times when I first got started that I tried to be all things to all people. You know what I mean? And I tried to, oh yeah, I can work with you. Oh yeah, I can do that. And I would try to say yes to everybody. And I found myself really not being genuine and authentic to who I was. And like, for example, my faith is paramount to who I am. And I would find myself trying to compartmentalize my faith and business because I would be afraid that if, someone found out, I was a believer, I was a preacher, that they might be, pushed back a little bit. Oh, this guy's going to preach to me. And they just wouldn't want to connect with me for that reason. And I felt maybe people wouldn't want to work with me because of my faith. And so I would just kind of compartmentalize those areas of my life. And I found myself not being true and authentic to who I was. And I recognized that if a person doesn't want to work with me because of my faith, chances are I probably don't want to work with them either. So now I find myself being true and authentic to who I am. And then I find myself working with people who I like to work with, and I'm happier. It's better. And the people that I like to work with, they like to work with me, and now they're telling more people. So that's so important. Just be true and authentic to who you are. for example, my bow tie, my glasses. This is a part of my brand. This is who I am. People often ask the questions like, "How did you come up with the nerd brand?" And I'm like, "Well, first of all, the glasses. I can't see without glasses." Now, Ron, you're laughing. You're laughing because I showed you a little secret before we started here, and so so these glasses are designed for in the studio. So I'll show everybody. There's no lenses that, but to stay on brand, I wear glasses. I have contact lenses in. But so glasses or contacts right now, I can't see without them. But the bow tie is just a fashion statement. But there's people, that I've been criticized. Oh, I can't take this guy serious because he's wearing a bow tie. I'm like, well, if that's all it takes for you to not work with me, good for you, because I probably don't want to work with you either. So being true and authentic to who you are is actually one of the best ways that you can connect with your idea audience.
I think that applies to everything we discussed today, right? It applies to how you approach the event before, right? When you're pitching the host and the event planner who may be booking you, be authentically you, because you don't want to show up and be someone different than who they booked, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
During the event, be authentically you. Those in the audience that resonate with that and who want to work with you and who like your message, they're gonna get a bit of oxygen, because a lot of times they're not allowed to be authentically them, right? So they're like, man, this guy gets to be him. He's 100% proud of who he is. He's unapologetic. That's whenever I hear unapologetic, that means, okay, this person's authentic, right? Good or bad, right? And then afterwards, it works because it builds consistency. It's, hey, this is who I am. If you don't like it, that's okay. I really want to work with the people who want to work with me. So I think that the before, during, and after is a great way to express that, especially with authenticity. But your book reinforces it, right? Your book allows them to take it home. The funnel invites those who want to be a part of it. Your funnel will filter out those who don't want to be a part of it, right? And then, the traffic, they'll tell more people. They'll tell more people about what you're doing and how good the book was and how great your services were. So I think that's a great way to kind of put a bow tie on this thing, for lack of better words. So I want to talk about the glasses thing, because you can see I have reflections because I don't have contacts. And we got on the call and I'm like, dude, how do you get your glasses to not have these reflections? I've been fighting this for 5 years. And he's like, oh, yeah, I wear contacts. And he stuck his finger through it. And I said, that is the best thing ever. So there's probably an entrepreneur who's watching this that could sell studio glasses.
Right.
Where literally it's frames with no lenses.
Yeah.
For those who are who wear glasses, that when they're on camera, they want to still keep that part of who they are, but without having to have these stupid reflections.
If they start the business, they need to give me a kickback for it or something,
Well, that would be incredible.
I'll be a sponsor for them.
But there it is. You'll be the spokesperson, They'll name them the Getter glasses.
The Getter glass. All right.
That's the brand right there, Getter glasses.
Getter glasses. Right? Yes.
So anything else you want to leave them with that we didn't cover? Because I think we covered a lot with the before, during, after, the book, funnel, traffic. Anything that I'm missing? Because I really appreciate you taking the time to share this with us, because
thank you, Ron.
It's really important.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Yeah, building that credibility, that authority, using a book for that. using your social media presence to elevate it. All of these things are important when it comes to a speaker. A speaker 50 years ago is a different speaker today. You have to adapt, you have to change the methods that you're using, and you have to take advantage of the technology. Ron, I know you have an amazing platform. You're doing amazing things. I'm like, wow, this is making it easier for speakers that use things that would take them months and months and a lot of time and work. You've been able to build a platform that is, using AI and things like that can be done with a click of a button. So use the platforms, the technology, and the systems that are available to us today. And I tell you what, you're going to be one of the next best speakers.
I got a question for you. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? I like to ask that.
So I think by nature, well, I know by nature I was an introvert. I was an introvert. I was very shy, reserved up until about 11th grade, 12th grade, and I took a drama class. Now I'm talking very shy, just to myself, uh, not very sociable. But when I took a drama class, I realized that I had a skill and a talent, and I kind of started breaking out of my shell. But I still find myself in social settings that I have to intentionally push myself to be sociable. If I'm in a crowd of people by myself, it is very difficult for me to be sociable and engaged. I can be very shy. If I have someone with me, it makes me lot more comfortable. So I would say by nature, I'm an introvert, but I have learned to be an extrovert when necessary.
Yeah, and I think that that's interesting because as I listened to you talk for the last 45 minutes, you really want to help, right? And I think it's a lot easier to be extroverted when you're helping,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
During that process of helping others, you want to tell everybody about the good news, whether it's
yeah.
Jesus or whether it's whatever product and services you're offering. And then when you're done helping, you say, well, I'll just go back to myself because they don't need
Yeah,
my
yeah.
help anymore.
Back into the cave. Back into the cave.
so,
Yeah,
so hey, everybody, we found Batman. This is Batman. He's been hiding under a bow tie.
that's it. Bruce Wayne.
That's it. Bruce Wayne, Paul Getter, same person, right? So, well, hey, Paul, I appreciate you taking the time to
Thank you.
share what you've learned over your 30. How many? You said 34 years of speaking.
33 years. 33 years of speaking. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
33 years of speaking. Oh man, that's a long time, and you've been on the stage with a lot of the greats, and hopefully you've inspired some of the people in our audience today to be great also and put in the work. It's important. So, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right.